We're going to talk some Central Division now. Brien Rea joins us from Dallas Stars Television. He hosts the broadcast on Valley Sports. And Brien, hey, I want to tell you something. Don't be alarmed if this sign blows over. It's happened once already to me today. I live to tell about it. What's the most embarrassing live television broadcast moment that you've had? I know this is right out of the blue, but you must get asked that a bit. I get asked it a ton.
Well, I don't know how much time we have, but in my first year of doing TV with the Dallas Stars, Rod, you've done this. Whenever you see a radio or a video highlight of a player, a game, or whatever, it's called a video package, right? So We're doing our post-game show, and I'm getting ready to take our show to whatever topic is on our rundown where I think we're going. And our producer gets in my ear and quickly changes on me and says, "Spets a package, Spets a package, Spets a package." And without even blinking, I just go, "Let's take a look at Jason Spezza's package now as we look at what he did tonight." Yep. So that was my baptism by fire into live television. Somehow I'm still here talking about it, so maybe it wasn't as egregious as I thought.
I'm writing that down. Congratulations.
Dude, I see you writing that down. That's just going to come back and haunt me.
Thank you. And you had it ready to go. Okay.
You're welcome.
Thank you. For more serious stuff, I did my predictions here a couple of times for both the Western Conference and the Central Division. I got the Dallas Stars, the #1 team in the entire West Conference going into this regular season. Man, that's how I think they're going to finish. Agree or disagree with that?
I will partially agree with you. I do think they are one of the two best teams in the Central Division. I think you look at them and you look at Colorado, and they seem to be the two teams that everybody says should be at the top. And then after that, I think things can really get wide open. So on paper, I think it's a neck and neck duel between Colorado and Dallas for who could be the top dog in the Central. As we roll through the season, health will come into play, bad luck, good luck will come into play, and we'll see how it shakes out. But I don't think that's a ridiculous statement to think they're good enough to be the best team in the Central.
Can you take me through the offseason? As you know, they don't get a ton of coverage outside Texas and certainly like none in Canada. How would you rate that offseason for the Dallas Stars?
So I deliberately try to temper my expectations, especially at this time of year, because we all feel good about hockey season and where our teams that we cover lie. So I think a B+ to A- grade is a fair grade for what Jim Nill and the Dallas Stars did. And the headline was getting Matt Duchene for $3 million on a one-year deal to come in and not have to be a top-line forward. In terms of forward depth, if you've got Matt Duchene playing on your second, possibly third line, depending how things work out, that's pretty good offensive depth to have up front. The one question mark that is going to surround the Dallas Stars, at least early on here, is their blue line. And it was exposed a little bit in the conference final series against Vegas, where you have Miro Heiskanen, who is absolutely a top pair defenseman. But after Miro Heiskanen, the waters get a little muddy as to who is your second, third, fourth best defenseman. Is it Ryan Suter, who is getting up there in age? Is it Esa Lindell, who some thought might have had a little bit of a step back compared to previous years? Is it Thomas Harley, who is an early 20s rookie who was really good in the playoffs, but is he ready to step up at 21 or 22 years old in his first full NHL season and be a top pair or a top four defenseman? And so the Stars didn't have the cap room or really the assets to go and acquire a bona fide, true, call it number two or top four defenseman. They might have the options internally, Thomas Harley, as I said, and then Niels Lundqvist, two youngsters. If they take a step forward, maybe there's an internal step that gives the Stars somewhere in that top four defense the presence they need. But it's a question mark. I wouldn't call it a concern. It's just that's the question mark, I think, surrounding the Stars on paper.
Dabbling back into the fun Not that that wasn't. Allie in Texarkana, you know Allie, she writes in and says, she goes, I'm just in time for my favorite broadcaster. Ask him about the clip-on ties and pouring milk before the cereal, Rod. LOL. What's the story, my friend?
It's an inside joke among Stars fans. And you know what? You can search it. I believe Sportsnet on Twitter did actually retweet it. But during the season after the lockdown, when it was limited fans, and for us, we had to maintain our 6 feet of distance at our desk, there's the video board sat right between me and Brent Severin, my co-anchor and my analyst. And so during our intermission reports, you would just see the video board. It would run graphics. It would do its usual thing. So one day, the game operations crew, who are fantastic people, they decide to post a message on the video board that says, Brien Rea pours his milk before his cereal. And I just stood there doing the entire first segment of the intermission report with this message right over my shoulder that we finally noticed and obviously had a good laugh over, and the Stars hockey fans certainly enjoyed it on Twitter. And so when I went to the game ops guys the next day, I'm like, hey, that was a great joke. And they said, don't worry about it. We're going to get Severin real soon here. So fast forward a couple of weeks, they do it again, only it says I wear clip-on ties on the air. They never touched Severin, so they lied to me, turning me into the victim. I've clearly gotten over it emotionally, as you can see. But it was a video board gag during the shortened season after the pandemic that the game operations crew played on me during our intermission reports. So thanks a lot, guys.
Well, it's good to know that you guys have fun. And Brian, I'll lastly say this. We got a couple moments left. You guys have been knocking on the door in terms of Stanley Cup final appearance and in the Western Conference final appearance, and you lose to the Stanley Cup champion every time. What's that done for the Stars fan base? I would think it's whipped them into a frenzy. I know what it's like down there. Everybody loves a winner. Are you close to getting to the top of the mountain, do you think? And what's it done for Stars hockey in Texas?
Well, first of all, when you look at today's NHL, I think they have as good of a chance as any team if you look at the top 6 to 8 teams. And I'm a big believer. Probably the Stanley Cup is the hardest thing to win, but getting through that first round feels like a gauntlet a lot of times. Once you get to the second round, part of it's health, part of it's matchups, part of it's puck luck. Those final 16 teams of the conference final, those final 8 teams, final 4 teams, they all have a legitimate case. I think the Stars are in that conversation. I think they're going to be in that conversation this year. What's it done for the Stars down here in Dallas? We just actually had a staff meeting last week, and the entire lower bowl has been sold out for the season from everything they had available. So the success they had last year, combined with the success they've been building going to the playoffs 4 out of the last 5 years, it does feel like it has reached its boiling point, or it's very close to its boiling point in terms of what's being discussed. And money decides everything. And right now there are people spending their money on the Dallas Stars, which obviously is a great thing for any organization in hockey right now.
And quickly, this popped into my head. Speaking of that, you obviously have your finger on the pulse of the franchise. How would they feel about another NHL team in Houston? I'm not saying it's going to be Arizona. I'm not going to say it's going to be anybody, but how do they feel about sharing the state? It sounds like you already know the answer to that, but I don't. So what is it?
No, you know what? I don't know if I've ever had that conversation with any of the management executives. Just we always talk random stuff, and for some reason that's never popped into my head. So I'm going to speculate a little bit and just give you my opinion. It's great to own a state or a province, but I also think Houston's only 3 hours away. In terms of building a rivalry or creating a little bit more of a buzz around your games, a team in Houston, I think, would be fantastic. You have a natural rival. You're within a 3-hour drive. You can make it a weekend trip to each city if you're a fan base on either side. All that does is fuel ticket sales. Ticket sales and viewership is going to fuel sponsorship elements. All that does is strengthen organizations because they can almost feed off each other through a natural rivalry. And I think you see it with some of the original 6 teams or some of the Canadian regional teams that are close enough together. We don't get to have a Battle of Alberta down here in Texas. I would love to see a Battle of Alberta, even if it's our Battle of Alberta. A little hatred and a little bloodthirstiness between players and fans is a good thing to build the hype around hockey games. I'd love it. I think it'd be great.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I would hope that the owners would agree. Brien, enjoy whatever's left of the offseason. You probably don't have one left, so hopefully we get to chat soon. Thanks for the time.
Good to talk to you as always. We got camp coming up next week, so looking forward to it. See you guys.
Thank you, pal.